Hello everybody and welcome to a round of World Talks here on TVP World. My name is Don Arleth. Since the United States announced only a few countries would have access to the latest generation artificial intelligence chips, Poles are outraged that the country is not included in the Tier 1 group and will not have significant access to these chips. According to some recent reports, the benefits that go hand in hand with a bold and responsible implementation of a national AI strategy can be quantified. For example, a report prepared by Implement Consulting Group for Google shows that the wise introduction of generative AI into the economy means an increase in Poland's GDP by up to 8% over the next decade, which is equivalent to adding 50 to 55 billion euros to the economy annually. And the higher GDP means a real improvement in the quality of life for millions of Polish citizens, higher productivity for Polish companies, and consequently more competitive economy, better prepared for the future. And now joining me to discuss these issues is Łukasz Pietrzak, head of the Consumer AI Marketing at Google Poland. Hello, and thank you very much for joining me today.
Hello, Don. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Now, I think to start this conversation off, what is generative AI, and when is it expected to become a reality?
Yeah. So when we look at the artificial intelligence in general, and the broad definitions tells us that this is machines doing functions that are very similar to humans. And the part of the AI is generative AI. Is the function of AI where machines can actually learn from text, from image, from audio, from video, and at the same time, based on the information that they acquire, they can process them and generate outputs in the same format. So they can generate for us text, they can generate now videos, amazing images. And that's like sparking huge revolution around the world with this technology, opening a big opportunity for the economy and for all of us to find it useful, to improve our life.
Now, why do you think the decision was made to exclude Poland from the Tier 1 group, and what impact will it have on us here in Poland?
Yeah, so when we look at the opportunity for the Polish economy, it can come from two sources. So one is how we can invest in R&D and develop our innovations, our models, how we can lead the way leveraging our amazing talent of our engineers. But the second one is how we can make sure that the Polish companies widely adopt this technology and actually translate it to boosting productivity and to make our economy more competitive. And I guess having some externally posed limitations can negatively impact the first piece. So what we can develop here, mostly having the computing power that we have here. From what we hear from the experts is that at the current point, this limit does not stifle the growth. It is still above us, so giving us plenty of space to grow. But in the future, of course, we need to find a way if we can leverage the compute externally or what we can do within the limits that we have. So the second piece is untouched, and still we have everything in our hands. How we will leverage the already tools that are existing by all the companies in Poland to boost our productivity, to be much more competitive on the world scene.
If you're familiar with the Draghi report, which says that Europe is falling vastly behind the United States and China, one of these areas is definitely going to be the future of AI and the development of such technologies here in the European continent. So how to balance this, how to open up, if you will. I mean, Poland is a blossoming economy that is really, if you look at the infrastructure here, it's being created from the ground up, right? For the last 30 years. So is this a unique opportunity for Poland to actually leapfrog ahead of other countries in Europe and embrace this technology and this boom that we're seeing over the next decade or more?
Yeah, I guess One of the main criticisms of the Draghi report coming from Central Eastern Europe was that the voices and the different dynamic of our economy in this region has not been actually reflected in the main report. Because what we see here, we see that our economies are much more dynamic. Our entrepreneurs are much more hungry. They look with much more optimism for the new technology. So we see really a lot of potential to get on a different trajectory and leapfrog the old Europe with the development of AI. And specifically in Poland, what we see is just amazing developer talent. Like, take a look at the people who are now building the most advanced large language models and the Polish names there. Take a look at the amazing startups like 11 Labs, like completely leading the way globally in voice generation with AI, established by Polish founders. Or even when we look at Google, we have Jacek Krawczyk leading the whole development of Gemini Assistant. So we really got the talent. We have users that are very open to AI. We just ran the research with Ipsos that show us that 57% of Poles perceive that AI will improve economy, will improve healthcare, will improve their everyday life. And we see this optimism growing year over year. So we have also users that are open to this new technology, want to learn it and want to adapt it. So in the context of Draghi report, I guess we should find our own way, our own path, and we need to act now so we get on a different trajectory than the Western Europe, and we actually leverage to the maximum the amazing opportunity opened by AI that is really the technology that is making the transformation of that we see once in a generation. But the thing is that we need to really act now. We need to really invest now in R&D, in building those new models, but also applications on already existing AI infrastructure. And we mentioned the limitations with the compute in building foundational models that may exist, but also take a look at all the startups that were built on mobile, that were built on the internet. So there is vast opportunity for the Polish startups, developers to build on top of this emerging technology. And take a look, let's take example of Notebook LM, going viral tool from Google that has been developed by one PM and one engineer, as a 20% project. And that's an amazing example that you can make a super useful tool used worldwide by really a couple of smart people with an amazing idea. And finally, we are getting back to the adoption by Polish small and medium businesses at wide scale, but it's need to happen right now.
Some people criticize AI because they're fearful that it will harm the workplace. It'll harm jobs. It'll replace people. Yeah. Is this something we should be fearful of, or we should more embrace as this technology comes online?
Yes. So this is absolutely natural. And there's something new coming. When there is a new technology that we hear that will change really a lot in our life, in our economy, the fear is a natural thing that pops up and is one of the main barriers in adoption. But I guess the main response to overcoming this fear is actually understanding this technology, learning and trying it as fast as possible to understand where I can benefit it from, how it actually works, what are the limitations, what are also the risks, and then you can do it in a responsible way. Start with the small steps. Start using that in your life, in your work, with the small steps. First, trying to understand how it actually works, but also what are the risks, what you should be aware of. And with that, I guess with the mass education is another thing that we really need right now for people to overcome this fear and to start adopting AI in an effective but also responsible way, and to make sure that it's beneficial for them and for their companies. And we have seen that as one of the main barriers for the adoption, not having skills, not having understanding, especially among Polish small and medium businesses. So, Small and medium businesses, they represent almost half of Polish economy. So this is huge impact if they adopt AI, if they boost their productivity in the coming years. And 43% of them are saying that the main barrier for us is not having skills. We don't know how to use it in our company. We just don't know enough. So together with Warsaw School of Economics, we work for the last half a year just trying to understand what are those barriers, where actually AI can help you. And we just opened a completely free program for Polish small and medium businesses called Skills of Tomorrow AI, where people who want to be pioneers of AI in their company, who want to be leaders who will show the others how to use it, who will teach the others, who will be those ambassadors of AI among Polish small and medium businesses, can apply for 5 weeks intensive program and get like full education, jump on this train of AI that is going at this breathtaking speed right now. And I guess one point out of this that we learned, the most positive and optimistic one is, we just announced it 3 weeks ago, having 10,000 places, and we have seen 30,000 Polish companies applying already. And this is completely overwhelming. So seeing the readiness, as you mentioned, there is a fear, but they want to learn that. They really want to jump on that train. There is this enthusiasm that we see in the economy. And this is for me like really building and showing like dynamism that we see in this region and why we can choose the different path that is shown in the Draghi report.
Precisely, large gains in productivity are what dynamic economies need. And especially as our economy is expanding, it seems to be very much something to embrace. Now, looking at the Polish government's policy and looking again at the premise of this conversation, the exclusion of Poland from these tier 1 chips, what can be done, what needs to be done to change this, to change the trajectory, if you will?
Yeah, so I think that there are 3 main enablers to achieve the big opportunity for the economy that you mentioned. So 8% in additional GDP increase in 10 years. So one already mentioned investment in research and development. So we need to think how to make the most of our infrastructure, how to build it locally here, how to be leading with innovations with the foundational models, but also building applications on top of that for the business, for people, and so on. Second thing, how to upskill Poles at scale. So we overcome the fear and we enable widespread adoption of AI tools in a responsible and safe way. And the third thing is how we can generate commercial uptake. So actually Polish companies from small micro companies that really can benefit the most, because with generative AI, they have access to the resources that were for until now available only to the big corporations. Now the small and medium business can actually have their creative support, PR small support, marketing support. So the extra support that was already given to the big companies. So imagine what opportunities that opens for them. And this third pillar, if we achieve this widespread adoption, then we can still compete with external companies, with the foreign ones. And that should be the 3 pillars that I see. So R&D, mass skilling, reskilling, and then investing in the adoption of those tools for the companies.
All right, well, it's definitely going to be interesting to watch. It already is. I'd like to thank you for joining me, Łukasz Pietrzak, from the head of consumer AI marketing at Google Poland. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me down. Thank you, everyone.
And that concludes this edition of World Talks. Thanks you for joining us, and stay with us for more here on TVP World.